A tradition unlike any other here, dudes. NFL Hangover. Yo, the Rams offense looking unstoppable against Tom Brady and the Bucs. So is LA the team to beat this season, Geoff?
As the starting quarterback of this trio, Emerson, that's not me. There I am. Okay. As the starting quarterback of this trio, Emerson, I'm going to come out and right off the bat and overreact here and say, yes, the Rams are the team to beat here. They have played this masterfully. Let's just give the Rams a little bit of credit. They had elite talent. They knew they had a good head coach in Sean McVay. They got the Aaron Donald, Ramsey on the back end. What did they do? They didn't sit back and be like, oh, maybe we'll get some draft picks and just, not get the guys we need. No, we're going to go all in, push all in with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, career highs in completion percentage, career highs in yards per attempt right now. And he's throwing more air yards and downfield more. This is working so well. It's disgusting right now for LA. And I don't even think we've seen their defense hit their peak. So yes, the Rams, to me, hitting on all cylinders right now. It's a long season. Things can change. But right now, the Rams are the class of the NFL, and I don't even think that's overreacting a little bit.
Yeah, Reid, what do you think? Because I know the absence of any real run game, that's a temporary concern, but everything else was rock solid with those guys.
Yeah, and this is something that I think all of us have been talking about for a long time. Call me the Tom Brady if Geoff Ulrich is the Drew Bledsoe of this panel, because I'm going to come in and absolutely do better than him. Is you take a look at this team and the top 5 defense coming into this year. Their offense wasn't bad last year. Just Jared Goff was not the right guy for the job, right? The offense was moving, but they would score 22 points per game. Now you look at this, and Stafford's got 9 touchdowns the first 3 games. Stafford's best was 6 in 2018, which was one of two of his 2 best years with the Rams, 2017, 2018, and he wasn't as efficient as Stafford is now. You see what McVay is doing and saying. He's singing the high praises of Matt Stafford, but it's not just Stafford. It's this defense. Moving Jalen Ramsey in that star role on the defensive side is completely changing the landscape of what these guys do. The linebackers are part of the weakness, I think, of this defense. You bring in a guy like Jalen Ramsey closer to the line of scrimmage, that's going to work wonders for your defense.
Yeah, Pearce, Stafford is a different animal under Sean McVay.
Yeah, I'm the guy on this sideline holding the clipboard, but that's okay with me. Let's not give up on Tampa yet. They are the Super Bowl champs. They've got to work on the defense, the run attack. It's not there. They can't have Brady throwing 55 times a game either, not this early in the season. But yeah, the story with Stafford, you're going to hear a lot about their weapons and how good Stafford has been. But if you look at the last 3 seasons with Detroit, he faced a 20% pressure rate. Now this season, through the first 3 games, his pressure rate is just 8%. And so we've seen his bad pass rate go from 20% down to 8%. We haven't really seen anything yet. You got a great line at the Rams led by Whitworth, so he could put up some monster numbers. They're definitely right now the team to beat.
Yeah, speaking of not seeing anything yet, 4 more starts for rookie quarterbacks this week. So all of them taking a big old fat L, some uglier than the other. So Patriots, Jets, Bears, Jags, they all struggled on Sunday with a first-round quarterback at the helm. We looking at a class of busts, or are these just growing pains here, Reid?
Yeah, busts. No, it's three games into their careers, right? I could spend hours talking about this. We were talking about it before we came live, but I'll keep it short here. The best prospect I think right now is the guy who's playing the least, in my opinion, and that's Trey Lance, right? And the reason why is you look at Trevor Lawrence. He's with Urban Meyer. He's a rookie head coach. He's going to probably throw the most interceptions in the NFL. So if there's a prop out there that you can get most INTs, it's probably Trevor Lawrence because they got to pass 50-plus times. Justin Fields, we won't spend too much time on that. It's Matt Nagy's fault. And a guy like Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. Mac Jones doesn't pass the ball, and it seems like every New England Patriots fan is saying, like, this guy's the best thing since sliced bread, but it's everybody else's fault except for the rookie quarterback who throws 3 interceptions when he has to pass the ball. And Zach Wilson isn't doing much. Trey Lance is in the perfect position because he's got the perfect scheme and coach, and that's what you need from a rookie quarterback. So much of it is not necessarily the talent, but where you land in the draft with what team and what scheme and what coach. That is so important. And Trey Lance, to me right now, is the guy best positioned to be the number 1 quarterback when it's all said and done this year, not necessarily for the next 5-10 years.
Pearce, which of the rookies have reached a concerning level, or are we not there yet?
It's too early to
Okay.
make a declaration, but I don't care. Yeah, they're all busts. I mean,
Yes.
what else can we say? They're playing poorly. They all look bad, up and down. When Davis Mills is the best rookie quarterback, we've got some serious problems. So I can't. I know it's way too early to say, but look, I'm not going to sit here and break down every single pass that they've made, but I haven't seen anything that make me feel like anything's going to turn around anytime soon. I'm staying away in DFS.
What about you, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm more on Pearce's side here. And look, let's look back to last season, because we had a couple really good prospects from last year, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, and we weren't sitting here talking about them in negative tones after week 3. Joe Burrow was on a terrible team last year. He looked good. He played well. Joe Burrow's good. He was good right off the bat. Justin Herbert came off the bench cold and just started throwing darts. Those guys were legitimately good right off the bat. What is the excuse for these teams, for these guys this year? Because those two guys were on bad teams in bad situations with bad head coaches and a guy like Anthony Lynn, and they still performed. So I don't think we should be giving them excuses. I do agree with Reid. It's a Matt Nagy problem in Chicago, and I hold out hope for Justin Fields, the most of those 4. But man, if these guys have not looked good, and we are probably looking at a couple guys, at least 1 or 2 busts from this class, it's too early to just write them off, obviously, but it's very concerning start.
Jeff, so Matt Nagy is the new Adam Gase?
He's the issue, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, I think Reid declared that, or Pearce, I can't remember.
Okay.
I'll give them credit.
Guys, the Cleveland defense, let's go ahead and stick with Chicago here. Terrorizing Justin Fields all game. So Myles Garrett with 4.5 sacks in that 26-6 win over the Bears. They sacked Justin Fields 9 times. 9 times. If it wasn't for a late Chiefs rally in week 1, the Browns would be 3-0. So how confident are you saying that Cleveland is an actual contender in the AFC, Pearce?
Yeah, the Browns are definitely contenders. They must have been watching the sweat last week. I think we fired them up, or at least I did. So you're welcome, Cleveland, for that. They definitely proved me wrong. The defense got it together. But let's pump the brakes a little bit. That Bears offensive line was terrible, and Justin Fields looked just awful under pressure. He just made poor pocket reactions. He scrambled at the wrong times. But give the Browns some credit. The defense did what it was supposed to do and absolutely just shut down the Bears. What I really like about what the Browns are doing is their play action looked amazing last week. And if you look at some of the top teams in football right now, they're getting a lot of yards off the play action pass. That's the Browns' bread and butter. If they can get that going, then we should watch out for them.
Yeah, Jeff, what do you think here, dude? Because Cleveland was able to get the ground game going in the second half.
Yeah, look, Cleveland is a really dangerous team when they get everything going, but I'm kind of like Pearce. I mean, I don't think I'm ready to put them in the elite of the AFC yet, like up there maybe with Buffalo, but the AFC North, I think I declared them the best team in this division preseason. There's really nothing for me to change my mind. I think the Ravens, extremely lucky to be 2-1 right now. Oh. Extremely lucky. Pittsburgh's done. Cincinnati is a really nice story, but I don't think they're better than the Browns. I think the Browns are in a great shape to win that division, and absolutely. But I wouldn't quite put them up there yet. They've just been so inconsistent on defense, and again, it's Chicago. That O-line was terrible. So yeah, great game. Myles Garrett is amazing, but I think I'd like to see a little bit more consistent stretch from this team before I go and say, oh yeah, this team's got a legit shot at making the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Reid, it wasn't a particularly crisp game for Mayfield, but the team was able to do more than enough around him to get the win.
Yeah, Mayfield's coming in with an injury too, right? His status was kind of up in the air the entire week, and so you're not going to come out and say that he was at full strength, because he wasn't. And that's the thing, right? That's the thing that you like about this Browns team, is that they have depth, right? With Jarvis Landry out, OBJ fits right in. Austin Hooper has a decent game, and Kareem Hunt. This team is poised to have a decent run if they stay healthy in the playoffs, because their defense can play like they did, maybe not to that extent, but they can play like that because they can hold teams like Kansas City Chiefs and keep it close. And their run game is so good. Kareem Hunt is fantastic as a backup. And if anything happens to Chubb, you're not going to lose, as much delta as you would, let's say, like Christian McCaffrey and Chuba Hubbard, right? Like that's the thing, right? You're not going to lose that much with Kareem Hunt. The system still goes, and they're firing on all cylinders, right? Like, AFC is Kansas City, Buffalo, Cleveland, in my opinion, and Cleveland looks like a pretty good team in all facets of the ball.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt just churning out yard after yard after yard after contact. So, about the Chiefs. The Chargers beat them in Kansas City, and KC is now in last place in the AFC West. Are we in for a four-horse race in the division? Let's start with you, Reid, because your team's atop this division right now. Let's go, buddy.
Well, I mean, only 2 undefeated teams, Emerson and company, in the AFC, and one of those teams is the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, they did everything they could have done to lose that game to Miami. Every little thing that you thought as a Raiders fan, oh, here it comes. Jacoby Brissett drives them down, 2-point conversion, great. Everything is working. A missed extra point from the AFC Player of the Week last week. Everything was shaping up to be that way, but right, they prevailed. And if you look at what Kansas City is not able to do, is they're not able to close out these games, right? I think their defense is going to be an extreme liability this year. That's what's happening with this Kansas City team. Like, the offensive line is brand new. It's better than last year, but it's completely brand new. So yeah, I'm a little scared of Kansas City, but this is not a 4-horse race, right? It's Kansas City. Like, they're slow starters. Really, like, we've seen them start slow in the past few seasons. But once they hit their stride, this is a team that you need to watch out for, but it's not as far as it was in years past. And maybe the AFC West, guys, as opposed to the NFC West, is the strongest right now in terms of the records.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Geoff?
Right now, Teddy Bridgewater and Derek Carr are playing out of their minds. I mean, they're averaging more yards per attempt than Patrick Mahomes. It's probably not going to last. One of these teams is going to come crashing back to earth. And I hate to say it, but it's probably going to be the Raiders. Now, I think this is easily the strongest division in football. Now, I would take that against the NFC West right now. These are good teams. This is very much a situation of a team that's been just so good and so dominant for 3 years. I think they've just kind of sat back a little bit, and they've kind of just had blinders on. And now these other teams, the Chargers, the Broncos, they've been building really solid, good all-around teams. Herbert's setting career highs in completion rate and yards per attempt right now, too. I think the Chargers and the Broncos are very, very complete teams, and I think they're going to give Kansas City a run for their money. I think the Raiders are absolutely just dodging raindrops right now. I think Derek Carr is playing well. If that comes back down to earth, this team is probably going to lose a couple in a row. But this is a very competitive division. Like, none of these teams are terrible by any means. Yeah, maybe the Raiders are getting a little bit lucky, but I think Denver is a very, very good defense. They're making smart decisions by starting Bridgewater. Already talked about the Chargers. We know them. This is going to be right down to the wire, in my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah. Pearce, another close game lost by the Chiefs, but this one felt more of their own doing thanks to 4 turnovers.
Yeah, it's a four-team race here, and here's an unpopular opinion: the Broncos are going to win this division. No defense. It's I know they've had some soft matchups, but they've held those soft matchups to 26 points total this season. So that's what you're supposed to do against inferior opponents, is beat them. And, losing Judy and probably Hamler might hurt them, but it could actually be a gift. It could force this offense to be more conservative, let Bridgewater be a game manager, and just play good defense and win these games, even though Bridgewater is chucking the ball downfield and Tim Patrick can be a deep threat. The Broncos offense can be good and the defense can be great, and that can be good enough to win in this division.
No Dalvin Cook, no problem for the Vikings here, guys. Another great start for Kirk Cousins. When will people start giving him more credit for being an actual good quarterback in this league, Reid?
Yeah, if you tuned in to our Sunday show, Emerson, 12 p.m. to kickoff on Bally Sports Networks, you heard my prognostication of working up a sweat that Kirk Cousins needs to be considered in more lineups. And sure enough, this is what he's doing. Look, 25, and now 28 fantasy points in the first 3 weeks. And we're not saying fantasy points correlates to good football, because Teddy Bridgewater, although he's actually playing pretty well, is a good quarterback in actual NFL. But yeah, Kirk Cousins right now, if you take a look, he's the one, and this offense is really the one keeping these teams, or keeping the Vikings in these matchups. Like Seattle, they have a lot of things to work out, especially on the defensive side of the last couple of weeks. But if you take a look at Kirk Cousins and his efficiency in the first half, it was unbelievable. He had a pass rating of 144, and then he followed that up with a pass rating of 100 flat in the second half. He looks great. And this receiving core, guys, when you talk about Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and Osborne, I would argue that it's top 5 as a unit right now for what these guys are doing, as opposed to other guys who have maybe stars on other teams. The Minnesota Vikings right now in their offense looks really strong, and it's led by Kirk Cousins.
Pearce, Mike Zimmer says the Vikings' effort on offense yesterday was the best he's seen in 8 years in Minnesota.
Which should be with all the weapons that they have. I mean, Reid just mentioned they've got tons of receivers. They've got Dalvin. Well, even without Dalvin Cook, they were amazing. And it's just so hard to shake off who Kirk Cousins was or who he is or who he will be. I feel like I need to go to a hypnotist to try to just retrain my brain, like give this guy a shot. And it's really important, I think, for DFS players to do that because, last weekend we probably didn't give enough attention to Josh Allen. He should have been on the radar, and he absolutely destroyed the slate. And Reid mentioned, hey, you guys need to pay attention to Kirk Cousins. Keep Kirk Cousins on your radar no matter what in this offense. They can absolutely explode any given week. He may not win a bunch of games, but he can pile up the stats.
So the Vikings, Jeff, were celebrating the franchise's first win over the Seahawks since 2009.
Yeah, I mean, look, it just feels like I probably get asked this question once a year. Is this finally time to give Kirk Cousins some credit? Honestly, no. No. I'm sorry. I've seen this so many times from Kirk Cousins. He strings together 2 or 3 great games. He looks fantastic. He's the next Drew Brees. No, he's not. We've seen enough from Kirk Cousins to know that when it gets colder and he goes on the road, this isn't going to last. The Vikings offense looks like a well-oiled machine right now, but, they were down big against Cincinnati. Then they got some prevent defense. They caught Arizona off guard. I would like to see them, they go up against the Rams and put up 35 points. Sure. I'll give them some credit, but man, it's Kirk Cousins, guys. It's a couple games.